Procurement is one of the most important budgets in government today. £230 billion was spent on public procurement. That's £1 in every £4.
So, fear is number one, and the other is skills. If you screw up on this contract, you could lose your liberty. Or if it's a big contract, you could lose your life. So, every 15 million of spend, you should have one SIPS manager. If you apply that rule in Wales, we are 174 managers short. So, we can't will the end, namely sustainable procurement, without willing the means, a sustainable, trained workforce. I think the can-do toolkit is a major victory. So that's the main lesson. Where government partners the social housing sector, it's got some real victories. Less fear, a more competent workforce, and above all, political leadership. Without those ingredients, all our little victories are going to get snuffed out, in my view. Thank you very much.
I look after a division called Value Wales, and our job is basically to work across the public sector with health, with education, with local authorities, to look at how public procurement's carried out and to improve both the practice and the outcomes that we secure from that. We've actually measured the outcomes so far from 7 of the projects. The 7 that we looked at, I think, worth about 175 million. We saw 85% of that being spent in Wales. 80 disadvantaged people got work experience through that. As far as we're concerned, community benefits or can-do toolkit for yourselves is here to stay. It can make a difference. And we're going to be looking at how we can look at the infrastructure and support to make it work even better for us.
The Welsh Housing Quality Standard expects all social housing to be in a good state of repair, safe and secure, adequately heated, and energy efficiency is really important. Contain up-to-date kitchens and bathrooms, well managed, located in attractive and safe environments, and also suited to the specific needs of the household as far as possible, so that tenants do have a choice in this. We're not imposing. It is a different standard to England and Scotland, purposely so, particularly in terms of the energy efficiency and in terms of the fact we're not just focusing on the house, we're focusing on the street as well and the area that tenants are actually in. I think Welsh Government is really, really pleased with the progress landlords have made to improve the stock of both the local authority housing stock and the housing association stock. But it's only, we're only halfway through that journey and there's still an awful lot more to be done.
We urge the Welsh Government to do 2 things, really. Firstly, to be very clear in its expectations of those landlords in terms of what they expect to see those landlords doing to improve housing conditions, notwithstanding constraints on their ability perhaps to achieve full compliance with the standard, but also, importantly, to be open to exploring the full range of policy options available to overcome barriers to achievement of the WHQS.
Good afternoon, everybody. Interesting that Matthew referred to the role of accountant in this, and of course you'll be aware that there are only 3 types of accountants: those who can add up and those who can't. Could be replaced with more sustainable items, because there's a tendency at the moment to sacrifice thinking about energy efficiency unless it's clearly related to fuel poverty. And of course, that's hugely laudable. But in my book, trying to save the planet and tackle climate change sort of trumps most other things, really, by definition. So I think we really ought to be looking at sustainability. We're looking to change the rent regime anyway. Why not build in a principle, for instance, that tenants whose home falls measurably short of Welsh Housing Quality Standard pay a lower rent? That could ensure that there's a further financial incentive perhaps for local authorities to take Welsh Housing Quality Standard more seriously.
Is it warm in here? I'm just, there's a couple of RSL chief execs sweating their assets next to me.
I'm Peter McHugh, Head of Housing at Denbighshire County Council. I've been with the council nearly a year now, so clearly the achievement of the Welsh Housing Quality Standard is entirely down to me, and I'll take full credit for that. But it's a guy called Sisyphus, and he was cursed by the gods because he tried to cheat death and all this kind of stuff. And his curse was to roll this rock up to the top of, I think it was Mount Olympus. And when it got to just near the top, it rolled over his back and went down the bottom. So he had to go back up and start pushing up again. Got near the top and it rolled over again. Now I've said to my staff, this is continuous improvement. This is what it's about now. This is about us all rolling that rock up the hill. So this is kind of rock and roll in Wales. So, Jock and Val, thank you very much for listening. Cheers.
Well, listen, the WHQS, the done, dusted or desired. And is it done? No, it isn't done. Will it ever be done? Never, because things move on, the standards move on, we do different things. But whatever, as my daughter says, I'm inspired by my daughter as well, but she's clearly cheekier than yours is. But nevertheless, listen, does it matter? No, it doesn't matter, provided we're doing the right thing. Why? Because it's a catalyst for change, and that's the main thing we wanted. And how can we done? The pest analysis, isn't it? It's the political, the economic, social and technological, but we together can tackle all of these things, and we need to here in Wales. We know that because of some of the statistics coming out later. WHQS led the way in housing, because remember, you've got to put housing first, education will follow.